In May of 1939, DC Comics released a story that would change not only the foundation of their company, but the superhero landscape forever with the release of Detective Comics number 27. In this story, a character with a long, dark cape, spiky ears on his cowl, and a gray suit with the symbol of a bat on his chest starred as the main character against a treacherous threat. And throughout the years, this caped crusader would scowl through the streets, hunting for any criminal that would attack the heart of his city. This character would simply be known throughout the world as the Batman. He has made countless enemies, gone through many traumatic events, and has seen an unbelievable amount of stories. So many, in fact, that most of the hardcore Batman fans out there may not even know all of the Dark Knight's most important encounters. With Bruce Wayne having a complex and a massive history throughout his many years in the comics, some people might find it a bit tricky to know where to start when talking about Batman's history. So I decided to go through the long and winding history of the world's greatest detective to try and create a definitive timeline of events. Today, I look to create the ultimate timeline for the Batman. Hey guys, my name is DJ, and Batman has become one of the most complex characters in all of comic book history. With a history of over 80 years, the Caped Crusader has been through a lot, and so it may be hard to find out which stories are crucial to Batman and which ones aren't. So today, I decided to take all of Batman's most important stories and put them all together in one definitive timeline. And with this timeline comes a lot of information and important events. So I can't sit here and try to include every single major event in his 80 years of comic book history, but I did try to cram as many important events as possible for this timeline. Which, just to warn you, might make this video feel a little fast-paced in terms of just throwing information at you. But I do believe that every single one of these events are important to creating the definitive Batman timeline. So, after a lot of research, rearranging, and decision-making, here is the Batman's Ultimate Timeline. So we start with Batman's Golden Age in Detective Comics number 33. Here we see the now iconic story of Joe Chill capping Brucey Boy's parents before Bruce Wayne becomes Batman in his first true appearance to readers in Detective Comics number 27. But every great new hero needs an exceptional villain, and that is where we introduce Dr. Death. For the 99% of you who don't know who that is, here's a picture of him. Cool. How about we move on to the more interesting and memorable side characters, shall we? Because following Dr. Death, we have Hugo Strange, who strangely becomes one of Batman's earliest rivals as he made his debut in Detective Comics number 36. That is, before Dick Grayson enters the scene in Detective Comics 38 to become the very first Robin. And following that, we have Catwoman making her debut as a potential lover in Batman number 1. And of course, we get Batman's arch rival making his debut in this comic. Okay, the dangerous, the all-powerful... No, not you. The Joker. We get the Joker in this comic. Anyways, while other major characters like Two-Face, the Penguin, and Scarecrow were being introduced around this time, we also saw massive Bat-themed staples such as the Bat Signal, the Batmobile, the Batboat, and the Batcave all being introduced between Batman number 5 in 1941 and Batman number 47 in 1948. But after those quick introductions of iconic Batman properties, we turn our attention over to Batman number 47 and Detective Comics number 168. In these stories that were decades in the making, we've got Batman coming face to face with the man that killed his parents, Joe Chill, finally putting to rest his childhood trauma and closing the case on the Wayne family murders. And speaking of origin stories, we jump now to the Detective Comics storyline titled The Man Behind the Red Hood. Here we get the Joker's most famous origin story with him falling into a vat of acid, creating the Joker like it was famously recreated in Batman 1989. However, following these major stories comes some more quick introductions, with Kathy Kane debuting as Batwoman in Detective Comics number 233, the Batcopter being introduced in Detective Comics number 255, and as we are nearing this conclusion of the golden age for Batman, we now turn our attention to perhaps one of the most iconic events to ever take place in comic book history. The first great team-up of superheroes in DC Comics, with Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter creating an incredibly colorful super team known as the Justice League. And following the introduction of the Justice League, we turn our attention once again, this time, to the all-important, the incredible, and the massive events of the Silver Age. And let's strap in, because there is a lot to cover when talking about the Silver Age and the Caped Crusader. So in the Silver Age, the most important bits for Batman are found in the introduction of Poison Ivy in Batman number 181, the introduction of Barbara Gordon as the second and most famous Batgirl in Detective Comics number 359, and that's about it. Yeah, that's kind of it in terms of importance. I guess during this time, the Justice League shenanigans, along with pre-existing villains like Catwoman, the Joker, and Two-Face, were enough to keep Batman on his toes. And as we quickly close out the Silver Age of comics, we turn our attention to the Bronze Age and the more complex fine-tuning of the Batman character. And immediately we kick it off with some massive introductions, as Kirk Langstrom's alter ego in Man-Bat makes its first appearance in Detective Comics number 400, Talia al Ghul enters the fray with her first appearance in Detective Comics number 411, and her father makes his debut not too long after in Batman number 232. However, that's not all, as we get to the introduction of the master of all Lego builders, everybody's favorite narrator. He's Bruce Almighty's one and true god. He's Andy Dufresne's best friend and mine, as Lucius Fox gets introduced in Batman number 307, baby. Let's go! Sorry about that. I got a little bit excited there. Moving on from my love for Morgan Freeman, we continue with some more character-changing moments for Batman, as Arkham Asylum gets introduced in Batman number 326, and just 40 comics later in Batman number 366, Jason Todd enters the role of Robin as Dick Grayson moves on in his journey to become Nightwing. And now, after Black Mask makes his first appearance in Batman number 386, we move on to the modern age. And for most Batman fans, this is probably the section where you're going to be most familiar with, as we kick it off with the now iconic Killing Joke story that not only gave us more of a story about the Joker's potential beginnings, but also the paralyzation of Barbara Gordon. And we follow one iconic story with another, as that new Robin, Jason Todd, proves to us that he is fairly expendable as he dies at the hands of the Joker in Batman number 428, aka A Death in the Family. And speaking of the Bat family, we see Barbara Gordon quickly make her re-debut as Oracle in Suicide Squad number 38, her role now being to assist Batman's nightly escapades from the background. And the Bat family just continues to expand, because following Jason's unfortunate accident with a crowbar, we see the introduction of Tim Drake as the new Robin in Batman number 457. And perhaps these changes came just in time, as we get to perhaps one of the most iconic villain debuts in comic book history, as Bane introduces himself in Batman Vengeance of Bane number 1. That is, before promptly breaking the back of the Caped Crusader during the Nightfall comic series. And after this horrific development for Batman in 1993, Bruce Wayne would be down for the count. However, after being put on the shelf for just a few months, Bruce Wayne would make his triumphant return as the Batman so that he could take on Gotham's underworld once again. Yet, after that beloved story, we get to our first and only example of a Batman-related property being adapted into the world of comics after first being introduced on television, with Harley Quinn making her debut in Batman Harley Quinn. And speaking of now popular foes, we get to another personal favorite of mine with the epic Hush storyline, where Batman must meet his new rival with the appropriate name of Hush. Oh, and the personal problems for Bruce Wayne just continue as we get to the now popular Under the Red Hood storyline, which revealed the resurrection of Jason Todd. After being killed by the Joker, Jason decides that he should take up the mantle of the newest big anti-hero in Gotham, Red Hood. In quick succession, he must deal with his close personal friend Thomas Elliot turning himself into the villain known as Hush. He must deal with his now formerly dead friend in Jason Todd coming back to life. And to close out this timeline, Bruce Wayne gets a life-changing revelation when he meets his son. That's right, Talia al Ghul brought Batman his son, and my personal favorite Robin, Damian Wayne. And with the introduction of his child, I believe it's a perfect time to end Batman's Ultimate Timeline. Now, before you comic book fans yell at me, I want to take this opportunity to kind of shout out some of the more important events in recent comic book history for Batman. Moments like Batman proposing to Catwoman in the DC Universe Rebirth Batman number 24 comic, and the recent story where Batman had to deal with not just the Joker, but also the Joker, and, of course, the Joker in the story called Batman 3 Jokers. However, since it's hard to kind of know just how important those stories are going to be for the future, I decided to just kind of leave them off the Ultimate Timeline. In case, they don't really end up mattering that much in the long-term story of the Batman. And that's going to be it for the Ultimate Timeline. Batman debuted in 1939 and has survived seemingly everything thrown at him, from the worst possible villains imaginable like the Joker, to the most personal of heartbreaks like seeing his good friend Harvey Dent turn into Two-Face. And, depending on what future you want to believe in, Bruce Wayne either takes up the mantle as a trainer for Batman Beyond, or as a kick-ass old man still tearing through Gotham's underworld like in Batman The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, I know that Batman Beyond is kind of canon now, but I just really love the Dark Knight Returns story so much that I kind of just want to believe that that's what happens in the future. But as for Bruce Wayne himself, and after more than 80 years of crime fighting, it's interesting to look back at the wacky and colorful timeline of The Dark Knight. Whether it's by dealing with clowns, with penguins, or with the rotten infestation of Gotham City, Batman has always been there to provide us with a fun story. And when thrown all together in one ultimate timeline, you can see how Batman has become one of the most interesting comic book characters in history. Oh boy, that's finally it. I know that this entire video was basically just me throwing a bunch of information at you, and I want to thank you for watching the entire thing. But after all of that, I want to know what other characters you want to see me create an ultimate timeline for in the future. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But until next time, have a good day. Bye-bye.